Welcome to this session on Yama Yoga with the precepts truthfulness. In actual fact, the next one is called non-violence, but I will call it kindness and non-attachment. So we'll see how we can weave those into the poses that we do today. So find yourself first a comfortable way to sit. You can sit in a classic cross-legged position, maybe bring a folded blanket in so that you can elevate your hips so that your knees are slightly lower than your hips so that your hip flexors can be open. You can also sit in Siddhasana, which is heel, groin alignment. You can sit on a chair. It doesn't matter how you sit as long as it's a way to sit that enables you to have your spine upright. Make sure you take the flesh away from the sitting bones and then sitting back up. And perhaps straight away you will realize that your spine is able to be straighter. Once you have found the way to sit that is comfortable for you, just allow yourself to drop into your breath, listening to your breath. And really allowing your breath to come and go. And with the out breath, just sinking into the ground. And if you're sitting on a chair, sinking with your feet into the ground and sinking with your sitting bones into the ground. And then as you receive the in-breath, allow the in-breath to bring you uprightness, to bring you elevation. Allow the in-breath to also come into the space between the collarbones, wide smile across the chest. And then with the out-breath, just softening the shoulders to the ground. Tuck the chin in slightly. Elongate the back of your neck, bringing spaciousness between the ears and the shoulders. And just enjoying that softening out-breath. And keep breathing in that way, the elevation, the elongation on the in-breath, that drawn upwards like a plant is drawn upwards to the sun. And that rootedness into the ground with the out-breath. Feel that rhythm. And the precepts in yoga used to be aspects that were integrated into life. So it used to be about the lifestyle we live in. Are we truthful? And it's not about whether we tell lies to other people in the first instance. It's more about how honest are we with ourselves. So we can practice this honesty with ourselves in yoga. So when we do the asana practice later, or even when we sit here, are we honest enough to say, okay, I'm going to use a prop today, or are we getting competitive with ourselves and attaching to the need to be completely on the ground? In that sense, the non-attachment is also an aspect of being kind to yourself, really listening. What is it my body needs? What enables my body to sit in as much comfort as possible so I can feel this natural elongation of the spine with all honesty? Or am I forcing myself into certain position, which then would be called being violent towards your body, and also being violent towards your feelings? So we want to find a way of approaching the yoga practice that is then reflected in our lifestyle of being really kind to ourselves, really listening to ourselves. So listening to all the sensations that are happening in your body and allowing them to be there, really listening in attitude of being truthful with ourselves, of what our body, our mind and our feelings are feeding back to us. And I could talk about this for hours, but I will bring it now into this practice. Just keep these aspects, these precepts in the back of my mind. Am I truthful with myself, with the capacity of my body? Am I kind? And am I attaching to an idea of how I want my yoga position to be like? Or am I just allowing my body to show me where I'm at? Which brings us to actually the fourth precept of yoga, which is self-study. So self-study goes as a thread through all of them. So now drop into this. Relax your shoulders. Soften into your sitting bones. Find that uprightness in your spine. Tuck the chin in. Lengthen the back of the neck. Align the back of the head with your sitting bones, with your tailbone, more like. Feel the inhale coming in, rising up through that central channel that goes through the middle of your body, starting in between the sitting bones, rising upwards. On the out breath, giving everything in the periphery of that central channel to earth. And I will chant the mantra to tune us in. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahe. This is a mantra to our inner teacher or our higher consciousness, asking for inspiration, asking for input, asking for a clear channel of communication, and asking yourself to be open to receive what there is to receive. So take your hands to your heart, and in that spirit we shall chant 3 Oms. Deep inhale. One more deep inhale. Listening to the resonance after the sound, and then one more deep inhale. Let your hands drop, and take your legs out, shake your thighs, do whatever you need to do for a moment. So let's take a moment to wake up our feet, taking the feet towards us and away from us. You can do this on a chair or seated on the ground or on a bolster. Just use whatever you need so that you can still have the upper body comfortable as you're doing this. And then perhaps stretch the legs out, and now pull the feet towards you and pull the toes towards you. And then point the feet, point the toes away from you. Do this a few times, feeling even a little stretch in the calf as you pull your feet towards you, pull the toes towards you. See if you can bring spaciousness between the toes as you're doing this. So spreading the toes, relaxing the toes, then pointing the feet, spreading the toes, relaxing the toes. Then pointing the toes, pointing the feet, flexing the toes, keeping the feet pointed. Pointing the toes, flexing the toes. So just the toes working. And as you are doing this, bring a sense of spaciousness, bring the awareness of your breath into your feet. So you're pointing the feet, flexing the toes, spaciousness in the ankles, spaciousness in the toes, pointing and flexing. And then bringing the toes towards you, flexing, pointing. And then flex the feet towards you and do the same thing. Point and flex the toes. And again, with a sense of spaciousness in between your toes. Take your time to really activate those neural connections between your brain and your toes. We so rarely use our toes in day-to-day life, especially since we always have our feet in the shoes. So the base that we stand on the ground with, is quite weakened, our connection to our base. And we're trying to bring that in. Now wriggle the toes. Wave the feet. Shake it out. And then take one foot towards you. And then I'm going to bring this a little closer. You can stay sat, but I will take my foot towards you. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude. Hold on to your foot. Bring the little finger between the small toe and the fourth toe. Bring the ring finger between the fourth toe and the third toe. Bring the middle finger between the third toe and the second toe. Bring the index finger between the second toe and the big toe. And for some of you, that might already be quite uncomfortable. See if you can at least keep the tips of your fingers in those gaps. You don't have to put the whole finger through. And just let that settle. Let your fingers settle and soften into each other, the fingers and the toes. Just settling the toes into the fingers. Just let that breathe for a moment, listening to that spaciousness. And when I say listening, I don't mean the listening with the outer ears. I mean going into your senses and just feeling what is going on there. And then as your toes, probably the space between your toes gets used to this, you start circling the foot inwards, bringing spaciousness to your ankle, circling the foot outwards. See if you can go into the whole of the circle. And really waking up those feet as you're doing this. See if there are any parts of the circle that you are bypassing, where you're not quite going in, and then truthfully investigating, why am I not going there? What is going on there? Am I not going there out of a sense of kindness for myself, or am I avoiding it because there is some sensation there that is uncomfortable, that doesn't feel quite right? And then have the patience to actually just approach that sensation where it starts getting uncomfortable, approach it where it's still bearable, and just bring it there and stay there and breathe there. And then you might sense it fades a bit and you can go a little deeper in. So take your time to rest and linger in different parts of your circle. Okay, and then shake that foot out. Give it a little massage. So taking the fingers onto the midline of the foot, coming up, coming down, pressing in a little. And then there's here on the foot the bubbling well point that is just in the middle, bottom of the ball of the foot. And just give a tiny bit of pressure there. And again, it's a feeling pressure. Really feel that point. See if you can actually get a sensation of that point into your finger. Can you sense anything? Might there be a bit of pulsation? If you really go in and listen. Listen to how it feels on your foot. If you take your awareness into your foot, listen how it feels on your finger. You can have your index finger there or your thumb, whatever is better for you. And then shake that foot out again, and let's take the other foot. So again, just like we did before, the little finger goes in between the 5th toe and the 4th toe. The ring finger goes between the 4th toe and the 3rd toe. And as you can see, I'm not putting my whole finger through. I hope you can see this. I'm actually just putting the tip of my finger in and just placing it there. So do it whichever way, just as long as you have something in there. And then the middle finger between the 3rd toe and the 2nd toe. The index finger between the 2nd toe and the big toe. And then just letting that rest there for a moment. Just letting it calm into your toes. Letting the fingers calm into your toes. And breathing. Breathing deeply. And if it was a little uncomfortable to begin with, you can compare what was the level of discomfort between this foot and the other foot. What kind of sensation was it? What kind of sensation in the sense that when we haven't felt a sensation ever in our life, or very rarely feel that kind of sensation, the body doesn't understand it and might automatically translate it as pain. So really go in and see, what is the sensation I am actually feeling? Be really honest with yourself and analyze it. That pressure that I can perhaps feel between my 3rd toe and my 4th toe, why am I interpreting that as pain? Maybe it's not actually pain. Maybe it's just a stretch that my body isn't used to. And then over time, as we keep our fingers in, the body gets used to it, the body starts feeling safe, and then it relaxes into it more. And then perhaps it's even pleasant to have the fingers in between the toes. And then you start circling the foot inwards. Again, exploring that circle. Is the circle a round circle, or are there any areas that are being bypassed where it almost goes into a square? Am I able to make the hands go smoothly around that circle, drawing a circle into the periphery with my toes? And if there are areas where it's less smooth or where you're cutting corners, just go to that place, approach that place very kindly, very softly, very gently, and see, what is the sensation I am escaping there? What tightness might be there in the foot that I could go into and breathe into and release? So, and then circle the foot the other way. Sometimes there is also, we're talking about non-attachment today, sometimes there is also the attachment to no sensation. That almost any sensation is something to escape. So it's really worth sometimes to question, am I not going there because there is actually a problem in the foot? Or am I not going there because I'm just not used to going there anymore? Because I'm attached to keeping my level of comfort as large and big as possible. And it's really good to keep those ankles mobile, to keep those ankles flexible, because you don't use it, you lose it. So bringing that flexibility, that openness back and spaciousness back into the ankles and into the space between the feet. And then shaking the foot out, giving the foot a little massage, going with your fingers up and down the midline of the foot. You can do this slowly or a little quicker. I actually encourage you to do it slower so that you really feel in. Also a little bit of movement around the toes. and then bringing the thumb or the index finger onto the bubbling well point. So if you here see the ball of the foot, there is a little dip there, just at the center bottom of the ball of the foot. And that's where you give a tiny bit of pressure, just feeling in kind of pressure. And then see if your finger can sense something. Might there be a bit of pulsation? See if your foot can sense something. Opening up those inner ears in your foot, those inner senses. You can even close your eyes to feel it. Good. And then come onto all fours, take one leg forward and stand up. And take a moment to stand here with your feet together or hip width apart, and just allowing the feet to feel into the ground. See what you can sense. And then become aware of the arches of your feet. And imagine that under these arches, most of the time, unless you have some kind of condition on your feet, the arches are lifted. So the arches are the only part of your feet that aren't connected to the ground. And that is okay when they aren't connected to the ground. So spread your toes and elongate your toes and relax them into the ground, and then feel that spaciousness underneath your arches. If you're feeling the ground, of course, that is also okay. So just see where you're at. What am I feeling in the arches? What kind of sensation is present there? And then imagine that you have a warm, large sphere that you are standing on top of with your arches. And just warm your feet around that sphere. Relax your hands as you're feeling into your feet. And imagine that warm sphere radiating through your legs into your body. Soften your knees. Feel your feet into the ground. Really awaken the senses on your feet to feel every sensation there is to be felt on the soles of your feet, and soften the whole of the feet into the ground. Imagine there are roots, tiny little roots growing through the soles of the feet into the ground. Then take your weight slightly forward, slightly backwards onto the heel, swaying forward, and see if you can sway forward without the toes gripping, keeping your toes relaxed. And then sense also, as you're coming forward, investigate truthfully and honestly, where is it that my toes start gripping? And then only go to the point before the toes start gripping. And then see if you can push that boundary out a little more every time. So you relax your feet into that swaying forward. You see as you're slightly swaying backwards, how far can you go back without the toes lifting off the ground, where the toes are still feeling into the ground? How far can you go forward with the toes remaining relaxed before they start to grip? And can you bring more spaciousness into the toes so that the point of gripping is delayed? And then do forward. We did forward and backwards. Do sideways. How far can I go sideways without the foot lifting off the ground? Keeping the feet connected and just transferring the weight onto the other foot, but keeping the non-weight foot connected. Keeping the non-weight foot still in a sense of feeling the ground. And then balance your weight in between your feet and just bringing a sense of calm and trusting into your feet. Seeing what you can feel. And then bend your knees, relax your knees, let your head drop, let your arms be heavy, let your shoulders drop. You can do this one to a chair. I will show, we are doing a curl down. You can do it to a chair or on your own. See where you are at again. So the classic curl down goes like this. You drop your shoulders. You let your hands be relaxed, your feet feeling the ground, your head resting downwards, and you start rolling down, bending the knees more and more as you curl down one vertebra at a time until you allow your body to rest fully on top of the thighs. It's really important that you establish that connection. If you can't go low enough for the body to rest onto the thighs, if you can't bend your knees enough for the body to rest onto the thighs, do this to a chair. So here you're feeling the ground through your feet and you're curling down and just resting the body on top of the thighs as you're seated on the chair. So you choose with honesty and truthfulness to yourself, what is better for me? How can I achieve this connection between the body and the thighs? Then once you are hanging on top of the thighs, you just let your arms drop. Bring the gravity into your hands, into your arms, into your shoulders, loosening the shoulders. And then also with the head, dangling the head. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no movements with the head. Just really letting go of anything, any tension here, any holding. And then slowly, one vertebra at a time, start curling up again. You need to slightly tuck under your hips as you're curling up, one vertebra at a time, and listening into the vertebrae as you are doing this, bringing the senses into the vertebra until the head is in the uprightness, until the eyes and the gaze are on the horizon. And then we start this whole thing again. Let the head drop, let the shoulders drop, let the knees soften, welcoming the body down. And then one vertebra at a time, curl yourself towards the thighs. Bring it down until the body can rest on top of the thighs. And now take your hands and bring your hands onto your lower back, just resting them there for a moment. Perhaps the hands feel warm, perhaps the hands feel cold. Just keeping them there for a moment, like a sense of calm coming into the lower back. And then streaming down, so with your hands stroking down the back of the legs until the heel, and then streaming into the floor. And do this a few times. Keep your head relaxed as you are doing this. Opening, softening the back of the thighs. And then keep the head relaxed. And if you wish, this is optional, you can clasp the hands together, take the arms over the head, and just give a sense of opening to your shoulders. Keep the head relaxed. And you can again do this one on a chair just as much as you can do this standing up. Lift your sitting bones high enough that you feel a stretch in your hamstrings, but that you don't lose connection between the body and the thighs. And then deep inhale, and with your out breath, drop the arms, streaming down the back of the legs,
and then uncurling, keeping your arms hanging down. Just give your arms to gravity and see what naturally happens with your arms. Perhaps as you come up, the arms naturally want to rise. And then finding your uprightness again, softening into the feet. Feeling into your body. Take a moment of stillness to really see what has changed. Feel your feet, your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your arms and hands, your head. And find your natural uprightness again. Lift the rib cage away from the hips. Align the back of your head with your tailbone. Soften the shoulders down, soften the hands down. And then we are going to do a little bit of walking again to bring openness into the feet. So take one foot, just a tiny little step forward. I'm going to come here, then you can see it better. You can see my feet, I think, better like this. So one foot, a slight step in front of the other. And you have your weight on the back leg. And then imagine on the back leg, on the knee, you have a string going parallel to the ground, to the front. And our imaginary friend, our imaginary puppeteer, is going to pull on that string on the knee, just a tiny bit, just a fraction of pull on that knee, so that that knee is being lengthened forward, not upwards, forward. And that peels the back foot off the ground, one little section at a time, just like we were curling down our vertebrae, one section at a time, curling the spine down. We treat our foot like a spine, and just one section at a time, peeling off the ground, and that transfers the weight onto the front foot. And then we place that foot down with as minimum effort as possible, and then we have the thread on the back knee again, a fraction of pull on the knee, and that peels the back foot off until the last thing that leaves the ground is the toes, and then we feel for the ground again. And pay attention to the midline of the foot as you meet the ground, and meet the foot. The foot meets the ground as relaxed as possible, as soft as possible, peeling the back knee and transferring the weight and placing the foot forward with the integrity of the midline, the truthfulness of the midline going through the foot, from the heel to the middle section of the toes. See if you can take a moment to find your uprightness and just walk like that for a moment, just feeling the sensation of your foot as it meets the ground, the sensation of your back foot as it peels away from the ground. And if you can, do this a little faster, feeling that pull, feeling that peel, do it, and then see how your hips feel, how your knees feel as you walk in that way. So if you look just at the upper section of my body as I walk like this, see if you can see this. There is no up and down in my body. As I'm walking, it feels almost like I'm going along an escalator. So there's no jerkiness. The knees are soft, the hips are soft. And I encourage you to take this into your day-to-day life. Whenever you walk your dog next time, or you're walking from one place to the other and you remember, just take a moment to check in with yourself. How is my walk? How am I meeting the ground with my feet? Am I meeting the ground with the front of my feet first? Am I meeting the ground
with my heels first? Am I meeting the ground hard, or am I meeting the ground soft? Where is the impulse to go forward coming from? Is it coming from the hips? Am I moving my hips to put my foot forward? Or am I bringing that from the peeling of the back foot? And see what changes if you bring that in. So study yourself in your day-to-day life. How do I walk? And how could I walk better for my body? And that will translate in more health into your spine if you do this from time to time. Now, we're going to go into our first balancing poses of today. And you might find that the balancing poses are much easier after we've done this work with the feet. So take a moment to take your weight from one side to the other, and actually this time lifting off the other foot. And just seeing how you can feel in a relaxed way into the ground as you transfer your weight fully into that foot. And at some point, you just rest there for a moment and lift the foot up. See if there's any gripping in the toes. Soften the toes into the ground if there is any gripping. See if you can do that. Is your knee soft? Is your body still upright? Pull the belly in and up. Lift the rib cage away from the hips. Relax the shoulders. And then when you feel ready, you can grab hold of your free leg that is off the ground and just let the knee relax down to the ground. If you need a chair or something to hold on to, please do. You can also imagine that you have an imaginary wall next to you that you're resting your arm onto, or that you are held by a golden thread at the top of the head. That would be even better, so your body is held through the midline. Pushing the hip forward so you feel the stretch in the front thigh. And then take the free arm and take it forward. So this next bit is again optional. We're going into the dancer's pose. Keep the lift between the rib cage and the hips, taking the free arm forward, and then start pushing with the back foot against the back hand, but without losing the uprightness in your body. Keep your body as upright and as lifted as possible, shoulders relaxed. The fingers at the front there are connected to invisible threads, and then keeping your hips square, you push the back foot against the back hand, and that is what creates that lift. And again, with honesty and integrity, see, where is it that I can still keep my hip aligned? Or is my knee starting to go outwards to compensate for lack of openness? We can only achieve true openness if we work with integrity with our body. So keeping that openness going through the front. And if you're still here and you want to rest and feel that stretch in the front thigh here, please go with that. And breathe deeply, listening to your breath. Is my breath speeding up, but is it still relaxed? Am I pulling my belly in and up? Do I still feel that thread going through the crown? Is the front of my body lifted? And relax, rest. Take a moment to feel what has changed in your body. Compare the right side to the left side. See how your shoulders feel. And then take your weight onto the other side, resting that knee into the ground, softening the toes into the ground. Grab hold of your foot when you feel ready, when you feel you have your balance established. Rest your hands on an actual chair or on an imaginary space next to you, if that is necessary. You can also take your arm up and just imagine your fingertips connected to that golden thread, and a golden thread going through your crown upwards, lifting you up, holding you in place. If that golden thread is established, that imagination of the golden thread is established,
then even if you lose balance slightly, if your head stays upright, you're going to be able to catch yourself just by that imagination. Push the hips forward to feel the stretch. Breathe into that stretch on the front thigh. If you wish, take this to level number 2, dancer's pose, Natarajasana. Extending the fingers forward. Keeping that lift between the rib cage and the hips. Lift there, but relax the shoulders. Lift, relax the shoulders. Connecting the fingertips to invisible threads into the distance, pushing with the foot against the back hand, so the back hand remains as straight as possible. There is no bend here, there's no effort in the arm. That is just passive, what is happening with the arm by the foot giving its weight into the hand. And keeping the hips square, not opening. See what openness can you come to whilst keeping your hips square. Keep rising, keep breathing with the pose. So the work is wherever you are, whether you are here or whether you are there. Inhale, lifting the front of the body. Exhale, relaxing the back, relaxing the shoulders. And just softening into your standing foot. So the pose, even though still, is working, still in you, is still rising, is still growing inside you. Every cell in your body is right now doing either this or this. Listening in, not attaching to how you want the pose to look, but staying truthful with where you are at, and then waiting for the opening to happen. And then slowly relaxing, letting your foot go, resting the knees, resting the shoulders, resting the feet into the ground. Seeing what sensations are present. If you've done the dancer's pose, notice what sensations are present in the trunk area. Give them some spaciousness with your breath. What sensations are in your knees? Are they dull sensations, or are they sensations that are actually moving about? What sensations are on the soles of your feet? Okay, and now we are going to go onto the mat. And here is where you might need a belt or a scarf. So take a moment to just lie on your back. You can have a half block or a blanket behind your head. And just give the weight of your feet to gravity. Open your palms upwards, relax your legs down, and just notice what you notice. Notice your connection to the ground. And then bring your feet together so that the soles of the feet are connected, and let your knees drop out. Notice what you notice again in your connection of your back to the ground. What has changed? If you need to support yourself because this is excruciatingly painful on the inner thighs, then please put cushions or bolsters on the outside underneath your legs so that you're supported in a position where you can rest into. And find that space where your body can be comfortable. And then take your arms, extend the fingertips above your head into the periphery, into the distance. Imagine you have feeling threads beyond your fingertips. So you fill the space between your fingertips and whatever they are pointing at with your imagination. With your imagination of the feel of whatever the fingers are pointing at. So I am pointing with my fingers to glass So I'm feeling glass, the smoothness, the coolness, but you are probably feeling the ceiling. Maybe you're doing this outside, then maybe you can get a feel of the spaciousness of the sky, and just bringing the arms up and down, and imagine those feeling threads are what is moving your arms to the back and to the front. And imagine those feeling threads being synchronized with your breath. So as you inhale, the arms go back. As soon as the out-breath begins, the movement of the arms come back to the front, back next to your body. And feel that spaciousness in your shoulders as you move in this way. And then just let your arms rest next to your body for a moment. Feel your shoulders, feel your legs. In fact, stand the feet up next to your on the ground so that the soles of the feet are on the ground. Tuck your hips slightly under and just let your weight sink into the ground and feel. Feel how your lower back feels, feel how your shoulders feel, feel how the soles of your feet feel. And then bring more weight to your feet. As you bring more weight to your feet, maintain the spaciousness between your toes and the base of the toes. So make sure that the toes are really resting, elongated into the ground, but without any tension, just softening into the ground. Bringing more weight to the feet and shoulders spacious away from the ears. And then as you bring more weight to the feet, see what happens naturally. Transfer more and more weight into the feet and see if perhaps the hips naturally lift off the ground as you transfer more weight to the feet. And then take the weight away again from the feet and see if naturally your body, your trunk, the back of your hips rests into the ground again. And play with that. Play with the lifting of the hips off the ground just by transferring the weight to the feet. And see where that point is. How much weight do I have to push through my feet for my hips to lift up? And see how that changes the movement for you when you move through pushing the weight into the feet, or if you were to move by actually lifting the hips. So seeing the difference in how you allow your hips to come up and how that changes the movement and how it feels for you. Take a moment to really feel. Maybe you can experiment with both variations, just lifting the hips and coming back down, or pushing the weight into the feet and that lifting the hips up. How is that different for you? How does it feel different in the thighs and the buttocks? Am I clenching the buttocks more in one version than the other? And see how high you can go with pushing the feet into the ground. And when do you actually start needing to help with your hips to come higher? Finding that transfer point. Take that blanket away from behind your head. Transfer first the weight into the feet, and then start lifting by transferring the weight into the feet. Start lifting the hips up. Find that point where transferring more weight into the feet will not lift the hips any higher, and then continue with the hip lifting from the hips. And go as high as you possibly can, keeping the spaciousness between the ears and the shoulders, keeping the connectedness in your feet. Notice if your weight goes more to the outer feet or the inner feet as you do so. Keep the weight going smoothly through the whole of your foot from the heels to the toes. And stay there for a moment. Hold that there. Go as high as you can go and hold that there. Keep the buttocks as relaxed as you can. Don't clench the buttock cheeks together, but lift as high as you possibly can. If possible, you lift as high up that only the shoulders are still on the ground and the top of the chest goes towards the chin. So if you elongate the back of your neck, then the chin will come towards the chest, and then puff up the chest a little more towards the chin. Breathe deeply. Feel that wonderful, beautiful sensation on your thighs, that fiery burning in your thighs that is perhaps there now. And inhale that, breathe that to your solar plexus. And from the solar plexus, imagine a sun shining out into the whole of your body. So use that energy generated by your thighs to shine it out into fingertips, to shine it through your feet into the ground. And then slowly, one vertebra at a time, releasing one vertebra at a time, coming back down to the ground. Feeling as if the ground is welcoming you, one vertebra at a time. Like a hug given by the ground to each vertebra meeting the ground. And each vertebra wants its own space to get that hug from the ground. Until you have your whole back on the ground, and then feel the ground through your back. Now roll onto your side, bringing spaciousness between your shoulders and your ears. Can you see me all right? I think you can. There is a bit of play between light and shadow because the sun is beautifully strong today. So this is the exercise where you might want to use a ball, but you don't have to. It's not prescriptive. So bring spaciousness between your shoulders and your ears, and bring that folded blanket or the half block back under your head. And then start rolling with the head on the blanket or on the block. Start rolling forward and backwards. If you're doing this without the ball, then you just go forward and backwards and notice if there's any gripping in your hands. If there is any gripping in your hands, see if you can relax your hands and go forward as far as you can with that top arm and then roll back again. So as you are going forward and backwards, you're actually moving in your lower spine here. You're twisting in your lower spine. How far can you go forward? How far can you go back? And then at some point you go forward, 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 and then you open back and see how far that arm can open to the back. And then come back forward again. And now bring your imagination to those imaginary threads beyond your fingertips. So as your arms come up, you are feeling the space changing beyond your fingertips, because your fingertips are touching into the periphery as you're moving back, into the periphery as you come back to the front. Enjoying this sensation of being moved by space and what it is doing to your spine. As you come back forward, it is the shoulders that are kind of pulling the arm forward. So the arm hangs back slightly, just wanting to linger in the back a little more, but the shoulders coming forward bring the arm forward. So again, as you come up, it is the fingertips, those invisible feelers, threads,
our friend, the imaginary puppeteer, is moving the arm to the back, and that ensures a sense of spaciousness in the shoulders, in the elbows, in the wrists, in the fingertips. And the head can look back if that is nice for you. And then as you come forward again, the movement first starts in the waist. So the waist starts moving forward, then the shoulders. And the arm just hangs back as much as possible. It's almost passively taken forward. We do this one more time, then we change the movement slightly. And then the next time, we take the arm behind our head. Once the fingers are pointing beyond the head, you turn the palm upwards, and then you continue the circle behind you and come back forward. And it doesn't matter how far you open to the back, whether your arm actually meets the ground or not. What matters is that you feel this circle and what it is doing to your body, regardless of whether your circle is kind of up here when you go to the back, or whether the circle is going all the way to the ground. Again, this is about studying truthfully, honestly, with kindness, where your body is, and enjoying that openness in your lower spine as you're doing this, how your vertebrae are one by one being taken softly into that twist. And then just let your arm rest for a moment, feeling, noticing what you notice. And then take the arm up again. Let the arm come back. When the arm comes to the back as far as it can go, you open one leg out as far as it can open away from the other leg, and then let that other leg, that front leg, passively come forward until it meets the leg and your body has turned around. And then you come and do this whole thing on the other side. So I will turn around, but you don't need to. You just do the same thing unless you wish to turn around with your head on the other side so you can see the screen. But if you remember what to do, I will do my best to do the instructions in a way that you can follow without having to look. So first thing, you have the arms on top of each other and you're going forward and backwards, keeping the hands and the arms as relaxed as you possibly can. Feeling the movement in your lower spine. Just keeping that top arm passively onto the ground and moving forward and backwards from your lower spine here. And then at some point you go all the way forward with your arms, keeping your head relaxed on that cushion or bolster or block, whatever you have your head on, then opening up with those invisible feelers and puppeteer strings on your fingertips. That opens your body back, resting the arm wherever it can rest, as far as it can open, feeling that twist in your spine. And then the hips initiate the movement back. Then the shoulders start getting involved. The arm is still passive until the arm just gives to gravity and comes and meets the other hand at the front again. So the opening happening from those strings beyond the fingertips. And the fingertips feeling into the periphery, feeling whatever they are pointing at. It's a whole different way of engaging your muscles. This way of moving makes sure that only the muscles really needed for this movement are being engaged. Keep your breath smooth and comfortable. If your breath gets tight, work on smoothing your breath first. Find a range of movement that keeps your breath relaxed. So remember, when you come back, it's the hip moving in first, then the shoulders, the arm hangs passively back so you feel that stretch across the front of your chest. And the upward movement is initiated by the fingertips, by that puppeteer beyond your fingertips. And that puppeteer also gives you a sense of feeling for whatever it is your fingers are pointing at. Your imagination filling the space between your fingers and what you're pointing at. And then we're going to take this into the circle. So the arm moving above the head, so the fingers, hands point away from the head. And then you open the palms up as you continue the circle, bringing the arm to where it was before. Continue the circle, and then the palm moves back to face the body once it meets the body again. So the palm facing the ground when you're in the half circle in front of the body. When you go to the half circle behind the body, the palm faces up. Feeling your spine. And if you can, bring that imagination again that there is something beyond your fingertips moving you. So space itself is moving you. Do this for as long as feels comfortable. When you need to rest, take a rest. And feel your shoulders, your spine waking up. Feel the tingling that is possibly there in your fingertips. And at some point, just rest again. Take a moment to rest. Let your shoulders be heavy. Let your head be heavy. Let your legs be heavy. We will go into a hamstring stretch. So this is the one where you will need your belt or a scarf. But you can also do this by everything I say that you need to do with a belt. You can imagine you are just holding on to your thighs if you don't have a scarf or a belt handy. So lay on your back again and take the right leg towards you, holding the right leg towards you for a moment. And then feeling your back sink into the ground. And then take your left leg, lift the toes so that the foot is flexed, and dig the heel of the left leg into the ground. And imagine you are on a beach and there is sand underneath your foot. And you want to push that sand away with your heels, creating a little mountain of sand behind your feet, behind the soles of your feet, as you push the sand away. So you really need to do this in this way of digging into the ground as you're pushing the foot away. And then just let that leg become heavy on the ground, but keeping a tiny bit of holding in the foot as it pushes against that wall of sand. And then feeling that openness starting in the hips. Maybe you want to circle or move that leg that you are holding onto a little. And if you have the belt now, bring the belt onto the ball of the foot and then find the space where you can straighten the leg So the belt is on the ball of the foot, yeah? That means it's slightly higher underneath your big toe, slightly lower underneath your little toe. And then find the spot where you can bring your knee into a straight position. And then check again. If the place where my knee is in a straight position is beyond my hips, so there is more than a 90-degree angle between my trunk and the thighs, if it is kind of here or there, then bend your left leg like this, bringing the foot to the ground to give more stability to your spine. If your leg is quite close to you, then you can keep that lower leg straight. So you need to adjust this pose according to where your body is at to ensure the right openness and the health of your spine. And now bring your arms to the belt as close as possible to your foot so that the arms can just hang down passively, so the shoulders can soften towards the ground and the elbows are straight. And this doesn't matter whether the leg is here, it's the same thing, or whether the leg is closer to your body. What matters is straight elbows so that the arms can just relax to the ground and hold this passively with no effort. Now play with the foot, point and flex the foot a little and find the position of the foot that brings a good sensation to your hamstring, a sensation of about 6 out of 10. So playing with the angle of your thigh, playing with the angle of your foot, be playful and playfully find the position where you have that 6 out of 10 sensation in the hamstring, on the back of the thigh. And then rest once you have found that. Find stillness where you just listen to your breath. And imagine your breath going to the back of the thigh. Feeling any sensations that are there with openness, with kindness, with love. Lovingly allowing the hamstring to open up and release. You can even imagine a stream going down the back of your leg into the ground, releasing any tensions or holdings that might be there. Soften your hip into the ground as you are doing this. The right hip. And if your body invites you to do any movements, going a little out, a little in, a little towards you, a little away from you, or you want to move in your ankle, please follow that. That is the body's intelligence waking up, allowing spaciousness to come in so you can find the position that is right for you. Stay there for as long as you need to, as long as that pose still feels like it's giving you openness. I am going to move on to the next foot, but if you want to take a little longer, please do. If you're coming out, bend both legs and bring the feet to the ground, just feeling the difference between the right foot and the left foot. And then take the left leg towards you, first hugging the left leg towards you. And then digging the right leg into the ground with the heel of the right leg, pushing the wall of sand away. Keeping that leg there and then feeling the openness, resting, giving the weight of that right leg to gravity, softening it to the ground, but keeping a little bit of tautness in your foot. Length, elevation from your toes upwards. And if you want to do some movements with that left thigh that you're holding on, please do, bringing a bit of openness into the hips.
And now it's time to straighten that leg. Bend the lower leg if you need to. Bring the belt behind the ball of the foot. So the belt is just under the base of the big toe, just under the base of the little toe, so that you're not crunching any toes up. And then find the position where you can have your leg straight. Again, if it's beyond 90-degree angle, if the angle between the thigh and the hips is more than 90 degrees, then bend the right leg so that the foot of the right leg is on the ground. If you are quite flexible, then you can keep that right leg straightened. And then find the position where you can hold on to the belt without any bend in the elbows, so that the shoulders can just give to gravity, soften down to the ground. So you're passively holding that belt. And then start being playful with your foot, with the position of your leg. Wriggle the toes perhaps, and find the position where you have a sensation of 5 or 6 out of 10. So you can investigate, where do I feel nothing? Where do I start feeling it? Where is it so strong that it makes my breath go a little bit tight? And just stay in between where you start feeling it and where the breath goes tight. So we don't want the breath to be tight. That is an indication that you have gone too far, and then you're taking your body into the adrenaline system and it will fight the position. So this is where the truthfulness and the kindness come in again, and not attaching to a position where you think your foot should be. Maybe your foot was here yesterday, but today, when I go there, my breath starts getting tight and out of breath. So I take it back a little. I'm still feeling it. It still feels nice. I still feel that stretch on the back of my thigh, but my breath calms down again. Go where the breath is calm and the sensation is present. Find that balance. And then just feel your body naturally dropping in, naturally giving itself to the wave of the breath. Inhale, lengthen between the heel and the hips. Exhale, releasing the weight of the hips to the ground. And you can perhaps even on that out-breath feel a stream going down, a warm stream like a warm waterfall, washing down the back of your leg into the ground. You can do it with your hands if you wish, if that helps you. Just calming those muscles down, telling them it's safe to relax. And if you're still in the playful phase, that is absolutely fine. If you're still wriggling your toes, if you're still moving with your ankle, if you're still moving with your knees, if you're still finding the right position a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, be with what your body needs. Invite your higher intelligence in. And then let go of that leg. Bring that leg to the ground. Take yourself to Shavasana corpse pose. It is time for our relaxation. As always, relaxation, you can choose where you most like to meditate or relax. You can take a bolster and put it underneath your knees and bring your feet together like this with the bolster underneath. You can even take the chair. That is also really, really nice and recommended. Put your legs onto the chair and just lay like this. This ensures that the blood flow comes down from the legs into the hips, and you're reversing a little bit the pressure that is every day on the legs. Or lay in an open Shavasana or in a seated position. So you can choose. Regardless of which position you choose, if you need to, take a folded blanket underneath your head. Make sure you have spaciousness between your shoulders and your ears. If you are in Shavasana corpse pose, take your legs slightly apart, allow your toes to drop out, and then give your weight to gravity. Whatever is in connection with the ground, give the weight of that to gravity. Root into the ground. Calming into your breath. Receiving the inhalation
letting go of the out breath. Allowing the in-breath to expand into the body. Feeling like the in-breath is coming like a wave into your body. Going from the lungs into the heart. From the heart going into that beautiful, intricate blood system. Arteries, capillaries, spreading out into the body, like an inverted tree inside you. And the beauty of that inverted tree, that energy system that comes through the blood, delivering energy to each and every cell in your body. Take a moment to imagine that. Billions, millions of cells in your body, and each one connected to that in-breath, receiving that breath, allowing it, feeling it, visualizing it, expanding into your fingers, expanding into your toes. So if you looked at your body from the outside, if you imagined the outline of your body and the heart being the top of the trunk of the tree, and then all those branches spreading out to your head, to your fingertips, to your toes, and through the trunk into the roots that go out from the back of your body if you are lying down into the ground, receiving nourishment from earth, receiving prana from the air that you breathe. And each and every cell opens up gratefully to receive that fresh new energy. Feeling each and every cell expanding whilst it's receiving the breath. Expanding with a big smile. A smile that goes across your body. And all those cells interconnected. Maybe one cell smiles at the other as it receives the breath. And then that cell smiles at the next. And you have smiles after smiles forming in your body, expanding into your body. Happy cells. Light expanding. Cells that are feeling well, strong and supported. And as that light of that smile comes into your cells, it allows the cells to let go of anything that is no longer needed. Give your body permission to let go. Give your body permission to soften, letting go of anything that has served its purpose for you. Until all that is left is light, healing, purifying, strengthening,
re-energizing, regenerating, rejuvenating light. Allow the sounds to transport the light even more efficiently. Allow yourselves to open with that sound as you receive the sounds with each and every cell. Just listening to that sound, allowing it to resonate, reverberate into your body. Imagine that in-breath coming in through the crown being like a funnel receiving the light. And the light spreading through that inverted tree system into each and every cell and molecule and atom of your body, welcoming the energy of that in-breath into each and every cell, absorbing it, welcome it, receiving kindness through that light, coming in waves with your in-breath, that unconditional, all-accepting love. Each one of your cells receiving that warm hug. Maybe some of us haven't been lovingly hugged for a long time. Imagine life itself giving you that hug. That warm, loving, calming, healing hug in each and every one of your cells. Sink into that loving hug and allow that deep inner smile to spread out within you. Pratosmarami hridima puradatmatattvam Sachitsukam paramaham zagatim turiyam Yatswapna jagara sushuptam avaiti nityam
Tad Brahmani Shkalamaham Nasabhuta Sangaha Pratar Bhajami Manasa Vachasamagamyam Vachu Vibhanti Nikila Yadanugrahina Yaneti Neti Vachanao Nigama Avochuhu Tam Deva Deva Majama Chutamahuragriam Pratarnamami Tamasaf Paramarkavarnam Purnam Sanatanapadam Purushottamakyam Yasmin Nidam Jagadashi Shamashi Shamurtau Rajvam Bhujangamaiva Pratibhasitam Vai. Join me with an Om and then 3 hums. Om. 3 hums into your body. Feeling the resonance of the sound even after it has faded, the inner echo of the sound. Om Shanti. Stay in your meditative pose as long as you need. If you want to come out and if you're lying on your back, lay on your side for a moment and then on the other side. And then take whatever you have gained from this equanimity, whether it's a sense of peacefulness or a sense of feeling the ground through your feet or a sense of kindness to yourself. Take that into your day and into your week. Namaste, with love and blessings.